during the winter, I didn't think I would escape. I was just frozen, helpless. Nothing I could do.
That property is a pretty remote property. It's several acres.
I could hear his footsteps, and they were getting closer. The evil in his eyes I'd never seen before.
Potential suspects were whittled down.
Welcome to Talking News, guys. Chasing a murderer. Please like and subscribe right now so you don't forget. If you hit that little bell up there, you'll get notifications whenever I have new uploads. So I do upload quite often. So I've got these details up for you guys. Suzanne Morphew, 49, mother of 2 beautiful daughters. The Morphew family is originally from the Midwest. They lived in Indiana most of their life. She lived there with her husband, Barry Morphew, which is a landscaper, volunteer firefighter. And like I mentioned, Barry is listed living in Alexandria, Indiana, and on his Facebook page, he attended Purdue University. What I've learned in between when this story first started and now is that Barry is a business owner. According to the Indiana business records, he started a company by the name of BLM Enterprises back in 2004. Also, if you look it up, you'll see that he's listed as an agent with BLM Landscaping in Indiana. So we're learning about Suzanne Morphew. We knew she was a teacher at one point. I'm still working on her background because it's a little bit sketchy, different places say different things. So according to what we know right now, she did run a charity organization that operated under her name. She started this organization called Suzanne R. Morphew Hope Foundation, if I can spit it out, guys, again, in 2012. So let me repeat this: Suzanne R. Morphew Hope Foundation, 2012. This is according to business records with the Indiana Secretary of State's office. Interestingly, her husband is listed as a principal. Some of the information we know right now about this nonprofit organization is that the Morphew family formally dissolved the nonprofit organization in Indiana to relocate it to Colorado. It is registered with the Colorado Secretary of State's office, and that was in February of 2020. Many of us have tried to locate a website that goes with this organization, but right now haven't been successful. It's also listed with ProPublica and Charity Navigator as a nonprofit entity in good standing. Okay guys, a background noise because it is rainy today, thank God. So continuing on, 2018, the Morphews decided to make a move. Maysville, which is about 11 miles west of Salida, along Highway 50, it had a population of around 135 people. And this is according to the 2010 census. According to property records, the Morphews moved from Arcata, a small town, which is about 35 miles north of Indianapolis, in 2018. Let's see here. Yes, it was. So Suzanne posted photos of their Arcata house and to Facebook in May of 2018 after putting it on the market. According to that post, they wrote that the house sat on 13 acres. And according to the listing price at that time, it was listed for almost $900,000. And you can find that on their property records from the Hamilton County, Indiana area. So we kind of learned that that property never sold and that the Morphews still own it. So when the Morphews moved to Colorado, according to property records in Chaffee County, Colorado, it shows that the Morphews actually purchased their current home in April 2018 for around $1.6 million. According to this source here, the house, which was built in 2008, sits on more than 7 acres of land. We also find out that Suzanne allegedly was battling cancer, and her last fight was during that move from Indiana to Colorado back in 2018. And this is according to a few sources I was able to dig up. Okay, so on Facebook, in February, a post from a social media account believed to belong to Barry Morphew said that his wife had beat cancer twice. Now, according to Indiana-based source, they said that Suzanne's cancer had returned around the same time the family was preparing to move to Colorado in 2018. During that move, it is said that she was not doing that well. But since that time, and according to news sources in a media article, Suzanne has been deemed cancer-free. So that wasn't long ago, and we're still looking for more proof of, her dealing with this horrible disease. So when the couple moved to Colorado, they brought along their 2 teen daughters, which I'm not going to go into a lot of details about the girls since they are part of the story, but not really. On May 10th, 2020, Suzanne Morphew was at home alone. And this was odd because it was Mother's Day. And on May 11th, 2020, the day after Mother's Day, rescue workers, police, they are all canvassing her property in the area looking for a missing woman. Apparently, Suzanne's daughters had tried to reach out to their mother on Mother's Day and couldn't reach her by phone. Suzanne's daughters, we'll call them Mal and Macy, according to a few sources, it is her daughters that actually raised the alarm due to the fact they weren't able to get a hold of their mother on Mother's Day. And so, allegedly, they returned from a camping trip in Ohio. Before they returned from the camping trip, they actually reached out to a neighbor, her name is Miss Ritter, for help. According to the 70-year-old Ritter, she went over to check on Suzanne, but they couldn't get a hold of her. According to people that live in the area, they say that houses are spread in, wide apart in huge areas. So Ritter would have to travel a bit to reach Susan Morphew's home. So after Miss Ritter concluded that Susan might not be there, and that was around 5:45 p.m. Sunday, that concerned neighbor called the Chaffee County Communications Center to report her missing. So after that report was made, deputies responded to Road 225 and West Highway 50 in Maysville that Sunday evening. Some of the reports are saying that at the time, Susan was seen leaving on a bike from her home in Maysville. Because of that description, investigators were looking for a bike. And it wasn't long that they were searching the area and they recovered her bike that evening. Though Suzanne's story hadn't really got out to the public yet, there was a few people who were briefed in questions about what was happening at that time. And one of those people, his name is Chief Robert Bertram, who is actually the chief for the fire department there. And some of what he says goes along with what we hear and also kind of contradicts other things. He said the initial report about Suzanne was, quote, the initial report that I got when they told me on Monday, May 11th, was that she was missing and that they found her bike at a ravine. And that's all the information that I have gotten, end quote. May 11th, Morphew's $1.5 million 3-bedroom home, which was just outside of Salida, Colorado, was searched. So later that Tuesday afternoon, the investigators were pictured carrying evidence bags and equipment out of the house and being loaded into a van. So on May 12th, a bigger search comes just 2 days after police divers from neighboring Pueblo County were seen scouring the reservoir less than a mile from Suzanne's property. Now remember, the fire chief had just said earlier that he believed her bike was found near a water source. Meanwhile, articles are coming out with they found her bike near leaning on a tree. They found her bike by a bridge. So, but what it seems to be the truth of it so far anyways is that they found her bike near a ravine water source. So at this point the community is they're finding out what's going on in the area. And Tammy Shepard's front store, you can see Morphew's face. She greets visitors as they walk into the store. She said that the case has shaken this community. She says, quote, "A lot of us women head out on mountain bikes. The thought that you could just disappear is a really scary thought." Shepard continues, "If there's someone who knows something, saw something, we want to make sure they know how to get in touch with the right people," end quote. Meanwhile, the public is really catching on to the story, like I mentioned, and they're kind of starting to point their eyes towards the husband of Suzanne Morphew, Barry Morphew. Barry was supposedly out of town on business training, which was in Denver, 150 miles away. So he was gone on Mother's Day weekend. And at this point, investigators are starting to realize it's unclear how long Suzanne Morphew had been gone before the neighbor reported her missing, and investigators say it's unlikely that she was attacked by an animal. So he was kind of reacting to some of the things that he was hearing, like Denver reporters were saying when they spoke with neighbors, they expressed concern about wildlife in the area, especially mountain lions. But Sheriff John Spazey told a Denver reporter that the department feels that an animal attack is an unlikely scenario, which a lot of people could feel his positivity of what they felt might have happened to Suzanne, so they took note of that. John added that the case is not a criminal investigation at this point, but the possibility of foul play has not been ruled out. So a lot of people were noticing that nobody knew what Suzanne was wearing. They didn't know anything. This was odd, considering that this was a missing persons case. On May 13th, there was a press release. And also on May 13th, investigators were blocking off the Morphews' neighborhood to traffic, as well as other areas near there, in order to continue searching. According to John Spazey, he says that over the past 4 days, over 100 search personnel from Chaffee County Search and Rescue, Department of Corrections, and Chaffee County Combined TAC Team have scoured the area. He continues with the press release saying that numerous drones have been used for countless hours to assist in the search. He also shares that 8 different tracking and scent dogs from the Department of Corrections and the Search and Rescue Dogs of Colorado were deployed in aid for the search. But he said the end result was Morphew was yet to be found. May 14th, police find an item that belongs to Suzanne Morphew, and they said that they found this item about 2,000 feet from her home. At the same time, Suzanne's family is out there searching for her. This includes Suzanne's husband, Barry Morphew. It also includes what you see, he's kind of like the spokesperson for the family, Suzanne Morphew's nephew, Trevor Noel. One article said that Suzanne's nephew, Trevor Noel, is helping in the search both online and on foot in Colorado. He spoke to Dateline on his family's behalf. He said, quote, "Everyone involved in this search, we just want her back so bad. We want her back because she's just such a bright light in all of our lives," end quote. So also, the Chaffee County Sheriff is asking the residents in the area to keep the recordings from their doorbell cams or security cameras. And the dates that they're asking them to keep them is from 8th to the 12th. So a few days prior to Mother's Day and a few days afterwards. So now these dates were expanded, and investigators were suggesting maybe she could have disappeared before the 10th, or at least they could lock down the last known time that she was seen and what she was doing. So a lot of people were kind of questioning why the investigators hadn't collected all these doorbell cams and stuff before now. This case was kind of strange. I mean, people were starting to ask questions. The investigators not collecting that footage, they were risking deletion. I mean, a lot of these cameras delete once they record so much information, I guess is what you call it. So the sheriff's statement was this. He said, quote, "We are aware that some systems override video after several days, and we want to ensure that video remains available if needed," end quote. So this was said in a bulletin. Now I want to put this in so I don't forget. So May 17th, that's Sunday, Suzanne Morphew's husband, Barry Morphew, has released a video pleading for Suzanne's safe return. So this is after they have put up $100,000 himself, and then a friend of the family also put up another $100,000, totaling $200,000. It's about a week later that we start hearing from Suzanne's husband. He's actually reaching out. He made a video. And so here's a clip of that.
If anyone is out there that can hear this, that has you, please, we'll do whatever it takes to bring you back. We love you. We miss you. Your girls need you. No questions asked.
Some pretty much crucified him immediately after that video come out, but his family members didn't, and one of them was his uncle Bob.
They were a loving couple, and I've never seen any kind of unhappiness with each other. We're all terrified about this, and no place to find any rest. But like I said, everybody loves Suzanne and Barry. And we know what they're going through, and it's hard on our hearts too, because we don't know.
That's true. So a lot of people, they don't know Barry. They don't know what this couple was like. And so it's easier for them to look at Barry Morphew as a possible culprit. But, there are a few cases where, things don't seem to add up and it not be related to the spouse. So we have to remember that they are innocent until proven guilty, guys. Doesn't mean that you forget him completely and say that there's not a chance he didn't take part. But you also give him the benefit of the doubt that he has nothing to do with this. Especially since he's working so hard with search and rescue. At least give him the benefit of the doubt. So her husband has been pacing the floors, is what we're hearing. He's having a lot of trouble dealing with this. A lot of guilt going on, and we'll discuss more as to why he has this guilt later on, or shortly anyways. So as time moved on, we're moving into May 19th, Tuesday. We learned from a few news sources that the Morphew home is being held as part of the investigation. And people immediately act as if this is not, routine for something like this, and that it might mean more than something else. And in a lot of cases it can mean that, but also this is part of the investigation. So, and investigators were reaching out and saying this is all just routine, part of the process. And they had to do this because they had to subdue the speculation and rumors that were online, on social media, on media. They were getting out of control. They were just about to really probably been the worst case ever with rumor and speculation. It was just that bad. By May 20th, Wednesday, investigators had received around 200 tips, and investigators were investigating each and every tip that come in. Police even had psychics reaching out to them for tips. I believe one lady said that she was reaching out to a few people, said that they put hers to the side. But just to let you know, even though they have 200 tips that they're claiming that come in, there's probably a lot more from other people that are calling, trying to help them find Suzanne. The 21st of May, this is Thursday, investigators find that what they believe to be an item that belongs to the missing woman, labeled a personal item. So again, articles are coming out saying that they found something they labeled personal item that belonged to Suzanne. We hear that this item was found not too far from the bike. We had heard about it earlier. We just didn't get any more information as those articles keep coming out, talking about the bike and the personal items. Again, they are saying that this item was found about 2,000 feet away from her home. We learned also that Thursday that no one had actually seen Suzanne Morphew on the bike before she went missing. This is adding a major problem to the investigation. It also fuels some more speculation. How did they know that she was out bike riding? Well, of course, we're learning that this was something normal. Suzanne loved to go bike riding. But we don't care whether or not she loved to go bike riding. People are looking for proof that she actually went out on that bike ride, but they can't find it. And one of her daughter's friends, her friend's stepmother, claims that, quote, nobody actually saw her on her bike, sadly. So that's according to Crime Online. So here's something else that was in the article. I'm going to share it with you, and it applies to, the mother, the bike, and Suzanne. So, quote, the neighbors up there are spread pretty far apart, but the only reason that they found out she was missing is because the girls called the neighbors and said, we never heard from Mom. Can you go check on her? The friend's stepmother says. So, we're all just trying to take what's available to us and try to find answers, because we can't really help find her if you don't know what's going on. Anyways, people following this story feel like, we're lacking a lot of information, and that's because investigators are not sharing the information. They believe that these investigators know a lot more. They're starting to worry that it might be more serious than first understood. On Friday, May 22nd, we finally found out that the Chaffee County Sheriff's Office confirmed that investigators were searching a residential property that wasn't the home the Morphews were residing in. In fact, this was a new home under construction. The property runs around County Road 105 on the east side of Salida. It borders Maysville, about 12 miles away from the Morphews' home. The property owner actually confirmed that Suzanne's husband was hired to lay dirt on this riverfront land. So according to a few articles, this property owner of this new residential home going up, he said he had known Barry for about 3 weeks. He also mentioned that this riverfront property was undergoing improvement. We also learned that concrete was laid over the dirt in this area, so this was something that investigators were interested in and they were focusing on based off of a tip. So the investigators have been using x-ray type device to try and see through the concrete that sits on that property. And we were told that the property owner was more than cooperative, so most likely he put in the tip. According to online, the chief, or the fire chief, basically Barry's boss, said that he believed Barry Morphew had worked on a landscaping job at the site being searched. But law enforcement officials have not confirmed this. So the first search on that property ended at 5 p.m. Friday, and it was to resume Saturday. And actually the search went on through Sunday, but they absolutely, as far as we know, found nothing there. We've seen the tent go up, we've seen them, digging, cutting pieces of concrete out, but so far they say there's no clues coming out of that site. So I want to say, before I forget, remember that trip that Barry took the weekend his wife goes missing? Barry mentioned that he was headed to Denver for training. Well, we heard rumors that he was heading to Denver for to try out for a calendar, which pretty much takes, it's a competition for firefighters, kind of like an event where they kind of compete to get into these calendars, which are used for several organizations, like for children. It's kind of a non-profit thing. They try to help other organizations out. I don't know that much about it, but it's meant to do something good. So I looked into that, and there was such an event going on in Denver that weekend, actually. But according to posts on Facebook and on their website, that event was canceled. We also know that the chief at the fire department there said there was no training or anything going on for the fire department in Denver that weekend. And so this is where the problem lies for the, negativity that Barry Morphew is receiving. Something was going on that weekend, Denver, and they're not sharing what that was. We do know, however, according to what we are learning at this moment, that it's most likely what he said he was doing was not true. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That's probably why speculation started going crazy, because there's one thing you can't do. You cannot lie these days, because the truth is just a click away. Now, guys, they continue to search for Suzanne Morphew. Her family is completely devastated. They're out there searching their butts off. They're saying that Barry is devastated by his wife's absence, and that he's looking out the window. He's trying to remember vehicles that might have seemed suspicious before he left. And so this is a tough situation to be in. It's very sad, because now these days are going by and we're not getting any closer to finding Suzanne. And so that window is closing very fast, with hopes of finding her alive and well, but there's still a chance. And I sure hope, guys, if you know anything, if you live in that area, share her face, watch around you, pay attention. Maybe there's something you can do to help this family out and at least get answers as to what happened to Suzanne Morphew. All right, guys, I have a little bit more information I could share, but I have to close out right now. I want to say, guys, I appreciate you guys being here and watching. It really helps people like Suzanne. They need it. There's no reason why we don't use this kind of technology to help get faces out there. So anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and close out, and I'll see you guys soon.